So, all right. So while you're doing that, the process of this is going to be the first event is going to be the debate stuff, and then
we're gonna move. Then Max is gonna help me with some stuff on voice acting. But the way it's gonna work is that I'm going to make it so I introduce the whole chat, and then once we go from there, I will say, and I have with me 4 guests, these people here, and that'll be that. And I'll introduce you. I'll say your name. You can introduce yourself, and then we'll move on to the next person. So I'll say, here with me, I have Max. Max will introduce himself, and then it's like we also have Druox. Druox will introduce himself. We also have Eagle 8 Burger. He'll introduce himself, and then so on and so forth.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Let's get this on the roll. We are going to be live in just a second. Max will introduce himself.
So sorry. Preferred screen names are Max and Drew, just for clarification.
I mean, Max is like my regular. I don't know. Screen names are weird.
I just use Drew because it's short for Druox, which can be difficult for most people to pronounce.
I have to say, you guys are really nice people for people who hate abridging. I mean,
you don't have to be mean to hate abridging.
you really don't got to be mean to hate abridging.
No, that's true. It's like fucking hating the Cowboys. Don't have to be a dick, but it's fun to be a dick without hating the Cowboys.
What are you guys supposed to be referred to as, or?
You can call me Austin, or Eagle is fine. Like, most people call me Eagle. But.
Most people just go Pyro. You can drop the MG.
Right. Okay. Right. And 3, 2, 1, and we are live. Hello, everybody, to the Abcom podcast, the podcast about the abridging community for the abridging community. Today, on the very first podcast, we have a doozy. Today, we'll be talking about TIBA. Is it the spark we needed or the hand that will drag us further into the hole? We'll be talking about that there. After the debate, we'll have Soul Brother number 3 or Max giving us some tips on how to be an online voice actor. Are you doing it right? Let's find out about that later. And finally, if we have time, we'll be talking about the TIBA current entries. Love has been sparse for the top 30, so let's discuss why. And don't forget, you can join in the conversation in the Abridged Community Discord chat. Links will be in the description. So, might as well just jump right into this. TIBA, for those who don't know, is the Tenkaichi Iron Man Budokai Abridge-a-thon, an abridging tournament hosted and judged by the members and associates of TeamFourStar. Many have entered this competition, myself included, with estimates of the entries being around 300 to 400 entries. This is a surge in abridged content that, I haven't seen in years, but some have come out to criticize the tournament for various reasons. So let's get talking. Today I have 4 guests with me, and they'll introduce themselves as we go along. First up, we have Max.
Oh, hey, I'm Max. I run a channel. I'm not SoulBro number 3. I run a channel called SoulBro number 3 because people go up to me in public. And anyway, so yeah, I run a channel called SoulBro number 3, Ballin' All In. Who else?
Right. We also have Drew.
Hi, I'm Druox the Shredder. I've been voice acting for many years now. Now I do music from time to time for Super Planet Dolan.
Awesome.
Yay!
Yeah, we have also Eagle 8 Burger.
I'm Eagle 8 Burger. I make dumb videos on the internet. There's shortened versions of anime. Some people like that, I guess.
And then finally, last but not least, we also have Pyro here.
Hi, PyrOMG. I do video stuff for Abridgeplex, and I voice act, and that's me.
All right, so first off, we might as well just establish who's where on the I guess spectrum. What is your opinion on TIBA at the moment? If you don't, I know that Drew and maybe Max haven't really kept up to date on what's going on, but what do you think of TIBA as a concept? You know, the TeamFourStar judging these entries on their quality.
I mean, I personally was brought in here because primarily I wanted to be here for the sake of fact checking, because with the quote unquote abridging community, a lot of misinformation had been spread over the years about general content creation, voice acting, audio engineering, so on and so forth. And so I was primarily there for that reason. Also legality reasons. Originally, Drew was not supposed to be the party who was arguing against TIBA, but there was some slouch, fucked up, and now we got Mr. Drew here, and now I don't really need to be the source of education, as Drew is also very competent in what he knows.
Okay, so Drew, I mean, what do you think of TIBA, or even what do you think of abridging in general?
Abridging is it's a hobby right now. It's always been a hobby, and it's nice that people can create content using other people's work, but it has a reputation that it doesn't actually uphold. That there's a lot of expectations that people have for abridging whenever they get into it, that they don't understand the amount of work that you have to put into it to actually get anything out of it. Doesn't matter, because it's all about popularity at the end of the day if you want to really get anywhere with it. So this contest and abridging in general, I feel, is less of a gateway than it is a wall for a lot of people that may have talent and they may have passion, and they keep running into this wall, and they eventually burn themselves out. And I want to be part of the party that says you don't have to just do this. There's other ways, and you don't have to let people exploit you for their benefit.
Well, I mean, whenever you say exploitation, why do you think TIBA is exploiting people?
I think that it's a classic example of TeamFourStar looking at companies like Machinima and other people that have like a community channel where their community creates videos, and then the company or the user puts their name on it, and then they get all the money that comes in from the views, whereas the people that create the content get nothing out of it. There's no such thing as exposure that comes from these things, so you don't become a bigger channel because you've submitted to these things. There's no shared revenue, so you don't get a kickback because you're giving them your content. And the only people that benefit from it professionally and monetarily are the people that own the channel, not the people that create the content.
Eagle, what do you think about that?
That's a really interesting opinion, because I honestly didn't know what the attacking. You're not even an attacking side, but
we will be.
It's it's a really fascinating criticism, and certainly one that you don't get from within the community, and I think you can only get as an external perspective, because I don't necessarily agree with the opinion, but I won't deny the reality that that's something that you can definitely look at from the outside. I feel, though, from an interior opinion, people who just make these things for fun and maybe haven't made content at all, it's a good motivator to just get out, write something, and put something together. Like, granted, there are so many other ways to be creative. Like, you can do radio plays and try your voice acting out that way. You can get a bunch of friends together, try to shoot a film. One of the nice things, though, that I've always found about abridging is that because you have the content supplied, it's really easy to backload that on an editor if you're a passionate editor and feel you can dedicate that amount of time to a project. Wow, my voice is starting to go. But
what is it? I don't like, when it comes to abridging, I don't view that as like a. I mean, maybe Drew speaks differently, but me personally, I don't speak to abridging or speak about abridging from a voice acting perspective. I speak about it as a writer, as an entertainer, as a director.
Yeah,
if these are the things that you want to do, and the reality is that okay, if you want to try something, yeah, go for it. But the thing is that you get these guys that get real into it, and they don't understand that you cannot have a legitimate career out of this. This is not going to go anywhere. If you start getting rich, if you start quote unquote making it, you are hit with lawsuits. You are done. You are gone. And so that's it. Even you look at TeamFourStar, who are the biggest guys out. Those guys aren't millionaires. they aren't Jay-Z. They aren't like really rich from abridging. They're doing okay for themselves. They're doing nice for themselves. A lot of people would like to be in that position. What I assume is working from home. I don't know if they like go to a studio to do that, but because I don't work.
My understanding is that through their Patreon, they've been able to afford a studio space. Sorry, but that's about all I know.
Can I get in here right quick? So what you're saying about like not looking at like a career, you're completely correct on this. This shouldn't be something. Abridging itself should never be something you look to go, oh, I'm gonna make it big here and make it a career. Abridging is a nice platform to start off and hone skills, to be able to be like, all right, I'm going to take something that already has a built-in fan base in a way, and that'll give me something to start with, something to kind of like go against that wall and show people, hey, check it out. Do you like this? Okay, I built a fan base. I can bounce off of that.
That's a very...
But the main point I feel that should be, one, obviously always have passion in it. If you don't love what you're doing, then stop doing it. But it is a platform to improve skills more than anything else. Become a better writer, become a better voice actor, become a better editor. Those are skills that you can then take on to original content, which is a challenge all its own. Because then you have nothing that people already have a built-in love for. You have to build it for yourself, but it has to start somewhere. And where better to start than something that already has love for it built in?
Go ahead.
If you take that advice to someone, let's say if like that statement on it, the skill building thing, if you take that advice to someone who is, how do I put it, who is abnormally talented, or definitely a lot better than everyone else around them, I would say yes, that advice could apply. But like when I speak in, when I speak on blanket terms on what's going to help someone trying to break in entertainment, you have to go off of advice for the average person, not the really talented person. You think about the platform going to original content. Yes, those build skills that can go to original content. But the thing is that all those people that are there for haha anime, they don't want your original content. They don't care. It's all fan base pandering. There is a very, very select few of people who might, take it a different way. But the thing is, I know from experience, and I know, of my own stuff and looking at other things, this is not the only platform abridging builds for you. Is a platform for more abridging. That's all it is. I made something called Taste Closed. It got, thousands and thousands of hits on, and it was based on Detective Conan.
Yeah, that was good shit.
Thank you. But like the thing is that I look through tweets. I'll occasionally look at feedback for Taste Closed, and I'll see these people with the Conan Edogawa icons, all this stuff. They're like, oh, I watch Taste Closed every day. Oh my god, this is my life. These people are not following me. These people are not looking at the rest of my content, which is actually original. They do not give a shit, and that's the very harsh reality people need to learn. It will not help you unless you're breaking the laws with other animes. That's the very... Now again, if you just need something to get anything on paper, sure, go for it. Why not? But the concept of fan base building and business building, they are completely separated.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Well,
yeah.
You're supposed to be on his side.
Yeah.
Well, I am, but I'm just I don't know. Like I didn't know we were arguing over disillusionment in the series. Like my thought was that this debate was going to be over attacking the entire thing in general versus attacking a subset of.
You got to address
are we saying? Because if I thought your opinion was like, don't do this at all, versus this might not be as effective as you believe it to be.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close to don't do this. Again, if you're not a guy, and the thing is, we don't know. We don't know if let's say there's like 30 people listening to this. We don't know if one of these people are extremely talented and can actually use it to their advantage, or none of these people are extremely talented and can use it to their advantage. And the thing is that abridging, you are not going to build I mean, maybe you might learn how to voice direct. You are not going to build really practical skills that'll help you for the jobs in show business or the jobs in entertainment, which don't make you a big star. You know, so many I can guarantee you, not even 10% of abridgers know what a C stand is. You know, these are things.
I am in the 1%.
The thing is, like, these guys, like, they don't learn these things. They don't, you know, if they want to be filming, they don't know how to operate a Red One. They don't know how to do these things. They don't know how to use these cameras. They don't understand what, you know, bit codecs is and all this stuff, because all they're doing is taking, you know, these compressed files, playing around with them in Adobe Audition, Sony Vegas, whatever. Very rarely Avid, which is what you should be learning how to use if you want to be an editor. I never see any of them using Avid. You know,
freaking lip flap on Avid though. That would be abysmal.
I just want to say, I'm not implying in any way that it is the end right there. There is going to be challenges faced if you do go the route of going to original content and whatnot after that. But it's a start point, and a lot of people need that start point to get interested.
Would you be able to give an example of like anyone who could stand off it? Because I mean, if you look at TeamFourStar, they have barely went off to any original content. Any of the people who have done proper like big, or at least gotten successful of parodies, quote unquote, where have they went on to go apart from just making more parodies?
I feel like a good solid person who's done abridged stuff as well as a bunch of other stuff and been successful as Octopimp.
Who's that?
Octopimp's a guy who does 50% off. It's an abridged series off a swimming series. The series gets over 1 million. But what kind of original stuff, Pyro? What kind of original stuff?
Like, okay, if you start if you look at it just like a basis of honing skills more than anything else, editing is going to be something that you can take with you beyond that. Voice acting is something you can take with you beyond that. There are plenty of things. In fact, there are examples of people who have been voice acting in abridged series and stuff like that and have gone on to it. Some of them work with TeamFourStar right now.
I mean, that really depends.
Can I rebuttal to the? Can I give my rebuttal to the voice acting thing he is talking about?
Go for it.
Here's the thing about voice acting that you need to understand at the viewpoint of practical skills that actually help you get jobs and help you get auditions that abridging does not give you. It doesn't give you these following skills. The most important is the ability to create characters with your voice. You can recreate voices very well if you go into abridging, and I know this from experience. I started with people that did machinimas, which is basically a bridge series, but instead of abridging the game, they try to put their own storyline into a game. But you're still doing the same thing with an abridged series character-wise as a voice actor. You're recreating whatever character is there. The only good thing about machinima for me as a voice actor when I was growing was you didn't have to always do the character. Sometimes they had completely different characters in mind and a completely different storyline, so I could practice creating original characters. But in a bridge series, when you do these anime abridges, it's very rare. It's even more rare than in machinima that you will find people that create a completely different character, voice-wise, mannerisms-wise, and writing-wise than what was already there, but just slightly exaggerated. So if you see a Dragon Ball Z abridged creation, it's not going to have a Goku that sounds like something else and he's a lawyer and it's Law and Order parody, but they're using Dragon Ball Z. You could see that in machinima, where you play like a Law and Order thing in like some weird video game. That can happen, but it doesn't happen in a bridge series, and the reason why is because of the fan base that you're catering towards. You want to attract the popularity of that anime itself to your project, because there will be fans of the anime that want to see these kind of jokes, that understand your viewpoint, and if if your viewpoint resonates with these fans, then you get a huge boost in popularity, especially with something like Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh, these really big animes.
Oh yeah, most yeah, no. Again, a lot of the and to the writing, you are not being challenged, right? And I just want to clarify one thing. I want to make sure that everyone here is on the same page because people in the chat are stupid. We're only talking about people that try to use this as something past a hobby. Like that's where the debate is. We don't care if you abridge and you have no other intention but doing that. We don't care. We're talking about people that try to make more out of it. Just want to clarify that. But the thing with abridging and writing, and to Drew's point about the fan bases and working off of that, is that you are not pressed to be funny in the abridged community. I've seen a bunch of them. There is no the highest pressure you have to make a joke. An idea of a written joke in abridged things is, oh, here's a reference to the anime, but here's something different, or oh, here's a reference in the anime. I hope this doesn't happen. Oh, it happened. That's like the majority of the humor in the abridged stuff. Even in TeamFourStar, even in like, the god of it, that's the issue.
I agree with it, and I think I'm sort of a differential opinion. I think that if you look at YouTube's early stuff, it's very dry and very satirical, and the problem is that YouTube's a copycat website, so you have an abstraction from an abstraction. So it's a lot of people who don't fully understand satire at its core, trying to make satire. So you're looking at, it's like when Purple Eyes did his thing, which was fantastic and super original. People said, oh, well, this boils down to you have to be random, you have to be loud, and you have to give the characters dumb voices. And then a bunch of ments popped up because it's an abstraction from an abstraction and not content creators being original. But for me, that just boils down to it being... it's Sturgeon's Law. Like 90% of everything is crap. And I think for a good chunk, a lot of abridged series follow into the tropes that you're suggesting. But I do feel that there's a good chunk of series, like Walter, I know is fantastic. And he's gone on to do original stuff that's frankly funnier than anything that he ever did in a parody. And I enjoyed his parodies. And I think his Winterview stuff is hysterical. But I think if you look at someone like Walter like that, you can see how abridging was a springboard to go from being original and being funny to being having the time to have a cast and crew and go around and do things. And so much of it is time constraint. And I do think that there are genuine skills that you can defend within the community that are just people. Maybe the best way to phrase it is just, if you want to be a writer, there's nothing wrong with doing abridging, but you shouldn't want to be an abridger, if that makes any sense.
Well, I think there is definitely a point to be made that if you do something long enough, you're going to get skills in it, and abridging in itself is one of those things because there are things that go into it to make those abridgings. But some points that are being made in the chat here is most people who make abridgers are fans of anime. They don't want to create. So, but the points I believe that Macks was making was that if you are wanting to go on to do something better, abridging may not be the best avenue. But something that was a very good point that was made by Dr. Applejuice, which Drew did touch on, was that if you look at Rooster Teeth, they made a machinima called Red vs. Blue, which was made off an original off of Halo. But then from there, they were able to release original properties rather than establishing themselves on pre-existing property. There are plenty of examples of people who have done abridging, but I don't think that their abridged audience necessarily constitutes for a majority of their audience. For example, if you look at Shady Vox. Shady Vox has went on to become a musician. He lives in England, but he was originally the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Abridge alongside X the Dark One. He has went on to become quite a successful voice actor, doing a lot of original content for people like Mashed, that's owned by Channel 4 and such. But the thing is, I shouldn't really give my opinion on this, but I think that there is a way you can develop skills there, but the audience itself, I think, if you're to go on to make original content, you maybe should stop focusing on pre-existing properties because it can be very limiting in itself, because you're you're stuck with that storyline on that original property. If you want to have any sort of originality, you'll have to just go with something completely different, which a machinima could provide.
Well, yeah, machinima, they aren't using like the story.
Yeah, they're just using the visuals.
There is a turning point, yes, where you need to defer from that and go to something else. And while I'm at this, there's one thing I want to say about Mac's kind of argument here in general. If the basis of it is that, hey, if you're doing it as a hobby, that's fine, but don't push to do something more with it, that I think is pretty much the wrong way to look at it. Because let me put it this way. If someone has something that they're just going, okay, this is a hobby, I have no drive because it's a hobby. It's not something that I have to take further, and no one really goes, I'm going to be the really freaking best in the world at my hobby. That's just something that you do on the side. If you have a mentality of, I want to take this, I want to learn skills, I want to use it as a platform to gain something from in that regard, that's a better way to look at the ways. I'm not saying to be like, I am going to be the top paid abridger, throw all the chocolate coins at me, I'm rich. I'm saying be someone who wants to use it to improve. Just that's it. That's as far as it goes there. You can stop, you can go somewhere else with it if you feel like I've reached all I can take from it. But try and gain.
I think there is
what I'm saying is the ceiling you can improve, but the ceiling for it isn't that high. That, like again, like audio mixing. Like that is one way I am able to practice sound design a lot, is when I do those little funny things. But the thing is that it's, I mean, again, and this isn't a critique of the system. This is a critique of the people. No one puts effort into the sound design. Like I rarely see effort. I rarely see like, wow, every effect hits. Wow, this is mixed great. Wow, the bass, 50 hertz samples. 40 to feel it, 50 to hear it. Like I never get that. I never hear that in a bridge.
And then to expand on what you're trying to, the point that just to make it so that's more accessible to people that don't understand, is the barometer of quality in the abridged community is hindered by how the abridged community is maintained. Your abridged series is going to be compared to the quote unquote best in that show. So if you're doing a show that no one else is doing, there's no barometer of quality, and it's hard to improve unless you compare yourself to someone who's doing a different thing, which you can do, but your fans aren't going to do that. You have to do it all on your own, which is way more work than having feedback, active feedback as you're creating your works, which is something that's far easier to get from an original storyline. Even if you were to use the other cells that either people have made in anime, or if you want to use video game models like in machinimas, which Rooster Teeth, just to clarify, they're not abridgers. They made a machinima. They are not an example of people that did abridging that went on to create other things, just so that the viewers understand.
That's definitely. If there's one, if I could just quickly interrupt you, Drew, but can I ask, what time do you need to leave at?
Oh no, don't worry about it. I'll leave. I'll tell you when I'm going to be leaving. It's going to be after 1 p.m. But we got time.
On the point of feedback, the entire point of TIBA, the TIBA itself being hosted by TeamFourStar, some say it's a way to breathe life back into the community, which has become stagnant in a way, with only a few older people still chugging through, apart from the guys who have surged in popularity. Is TIBA a good thing, though? Because TIBA is taking...
Good for TeamFourStar. Amazing for TeamFourStar. Genius business decision. Amazing business decision for TeamFourStar. But great. They aren't idiots. They aren't total idiots. Like, they know what they're doing.
Okay, so but then is it good for the people who are entering?
Nope.
I don't think so either.
Nope. Because the thing is, I mean, look, again, I am very pro-capitalist. If TeamFourStar wants to do this, and they, they're getting the traffic, they, again, all the power to them. I have no problem if kids are essentially bringing their site traffic, and again, to get ahead in the internet, sometimes you gotta crush a few eggheads to make a nerd omelet. But the deal is that
That's a beautiful phrase.
You know, it's what are the prizes are, and I've been told these are publicly disclosed. Do you guys? I just want to make sure I'm not saying anything that, because I was told from a source, and I want to make sure nothing's wrong. The two TeamFourStar supporters, do you know what the prizes are?
It's just a
released
t-shirt, right?
Video, t-shirt.
It's like, is it like
stuff
trophy?
It's just a trophy. Just a trophy.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. So I just want to make sure that I'm not, stepping on any toes. But the point is that the prizes are a trophies, plaques, medal, t-shirts. Like that's what makes it feel, is it really that expensive to put out a trophy? What do you really get back with a trophy? Are they guaranteeing that they will give you a job? Is there
Max?
Again,
What?
Heck no.
Exactly.
Max.
What?
Max, let me add in here. I'm also a big fan of capitalism, as in I like to get paid for the shit I make.
Okay.
And you see, the reason why I think that this competition only benefits TeamFourStar is because I don't know if you guys have been following the whole creatives advocate route. I have a lot of people that have run their own businesses this way. The FUPA itself that protects people from larger copyright owners from abusing their power and exploiting them for additional money on top of the money that they already make from their content. This contest, all right, if you do something amazing, and you get number 1, and they put the video on their channel, whose channel name is on the bottom when you want to click subscribe of the more viewed video? TeamFourStar's or yours? So this is why this is the big problem with the whole thing where they say, oh, it's exposure. We're going to put your name in the video. It's going to be in the title. But our name is going to be down there with the subscribe button. But your name's going to be up there. And people are going to read it. And they're going to be like, wow.
They link back to your channel.
That doesn't... No. Okay, oh, no, that's total... Okay, here's the thing. I did work...
Even if they invited you to come with them to their booth, hey, look, it's the winner of our contest. Right over there, he won the contest. Look at him. Yeah, but I'm here to see Lanipater and the other famous people. Can I get their autographs and give them money? Because that guy doesn't matter because he's not TeamFourStar. And that's why, like, this exposure thing, and it's something I'm very, very, very experienced with. I mean, as a voice actor who works on things that are very popular, while I myself am just a part of it, that's what this contest is. The contest is popular. You are just a part of it as one of the people that are participating.
I can certainly I testify. I have talked to quite a few of the current top 30, and a majority of them have reported that they have not seen a significant view or subscriber boost since being featured in the top 30. And why would someone go and view that video on their channel when they've just viewed it on the TeamFourStar website?
Yeah,
well,
it's completely counterintuitive. Here's
the thing. How the hell would you expect it to go? Like, what way could they do it? If they're trying to draw attention to things and get it in an isolated place or whatnot so they can do that, of course they're going to have to use their name. TeamFourStar is going to have to use their name for that. But so how would you expect... There is payback, though.
Where's the payback?
Like, okay, ignoring trophies and stuff like that. Let's just discount all that because this is the first competition of this ever. So I'd imagine there's no real precedent for this from them. So let's say, hey, we don't exactly know what we should be giving for this yet. Let's figure it out. We have to do something at the very least.
Well, no, yeah.
All right.
The one thing, in defense of TeamFourStar, I talked to one of the organizers, and they were admitting, okay, it is our first one. We made a lot of mistakes, and we really plan on fixing it. If they are to do, they plan to do another one.
I'll tell you how you can increase exposure. I'll tell you how you can do it.
All right, go ahead.
If TeamFourStar really was interested in increasing the exposure of the people that they like, rather than having a contest where you just put up the whole thing for people to see, they should have a recommendation where they have a compilation of dubs that they think are awesome, and the people that make it on this compilation, they show a clip. Hey, here's our favorite clip from this thing. You should go watch this. Instead, what they're doing is you put up your whole thing on their channel, and that's it. That's the clip or your whole skit. And there's no incentive from TeamFourStar themselves, because this is a contest. It's all framed to center around coming to the contest to see the other people's entries, to see the other winners.
No,
and
it's not.
Let's go ahead.
With that. Sorry, because I think you're speaking about the top 10 list where they released the first 10 of the top 30, and it was just a clip. Was that what you were talking about, Drew?
I was talking about in general how they're presenting each winner.
They released a top 10. Because I was icky on that as well. Because I mean, how much time is it to put an in and an out on your favorite joke of a video, put that into the timeline, and then people at least have an idea of what that is.
And then instead of putting the clip, the whole thing on their site, it's like, hey, here's from the top 10. Here's this guy's one of our top 10. He's placed this, and they're placed this. Instead of one video per, put them in smaller chunks and link to the original videos. That is putting traffic towards people. Putting the video on your channel is taking any and all traffic that video could have had and putting it on your channel instead, and getting.
I do agree that the kickbacks could be a little stronger, and that's an area that I could see definite improvement in. At the same time, going back to intention, I think what Max was talking about with the idea that people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to get so much traffic and get famous on this. Sorry, I might have to get you to repeat your point, but I was just going to say, I think that's true again for a lot of people who haven't done this and don't really know the community very well. Like, I do think a lot of entries probably went in thinking like, oh, this is going to make me famous, blah, 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 blah. But I think for more veteran members of the community, you're doing it because you just think like, oh, this looks fun. I'm going to try to submit this. Maybe I'll place okay. And maybe someone who I look up to in this community will give a critique of my work. And the fact that I respect them in the industry, like I think Kaiser's been great in how to the point and like critical he's been in all of his reviews. And just the fact that someone is seeing your content that might not have seen it otherwise, because I know they don't really go around shopping for abridged work. And I think
that's one thing. I mean, that's where the biggest improvement. If the rewards were just buffed, if the rewards were just repaired, this wouldn't be a debate. You know, we wouldn't be arguing. You know, yeah, like
so. Let me capitalize on what Eagle said.
I'm really bad at keeping debates alive.
Yeah.
No. I'm just like, that's respectable. This is also respectable.
Let me capitalize off of what Eagle was talking about there, because he's mentioning the critiques a little bit there, and Kaiser's and all the, like, everyone's critiques in this. When you're talking about, hey, what if they had just done a clip from them and said, hey, go back to their channel and whatnot, these critiques at the end would kind of be impossible then. And the critiques are something that will help these people improve. So maybe it does make the abridging community have new talent that actually try.
Granted, what is the formula? I'm trying to figure something out. I got to ask them, what is the formula for they upload their video and then at the end of the video they read out a critique, or how does it work?
So at the end of the video, there's critiques from each of the judges kind of explaining what was good, what was bad, how they felt about it. Granted, there is varying opinions on that, but it gives you a kind of idea of how they felt as people who have been doing this for a very long time. And if you take away the entire episode of it, they could be talking about a solid point, and you'll be like, wait, what? And
that's fine, but here's my thing. If they wanted to get paid to critique people, that's what this should have been. It's instead a contest to pull traffic towards them using other people's content, which I can understand that when you have an opinion that people value, yes, you should share it, but they don't have to extort these people for money in order to give them critiques. If they want,
that's a strong word. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a very strong word.
Well, that's the only way I can look at it from personal experience.
I completely understand.
I mean, there's no kickback. There's no kickback to the people that make these things monetarily, but there is kickback to TeamFourStar monetarily for making these critiques. There's nothing that you gain other than the opinion, and an opinion doesn't buy food. The last time I checked, and there are people that it isn't an equal exchange to me, and that isn't fair. And if it's something where you want me to look at it as a good thing, then it should give something of value, of equal value to both parties. And an opinion is not equal to money. It's not.
Okay,
for me it could be. For me it could be. But the thing is that for the only opinions of the only true valid, I guess, like industry educated opinions they could give on is voice acting, because they work with a lot of people who, have been to Funimation, Bang Zoom, whatever, so on and so forth. The thing is that opinions on writing, opinions on editing, we don't like the guys at TeamFourStar. They're not writing for TV. These guys, they're just making their own thing. And so it's like, let's say if they were to specifically go out and bring in specialists for opinion, let's say if they got, obviously this is going way out there, but it's just like to get my point across. Like, let's say if they had Eric Andre, and Eric Andre was judging the top 10, and he was saying, okay, this is funny, writing. And then, okay, to me, an opinion from Eric Andre on what I need to fix if I am, a young kid doing this, that's important. That's worth cash to me. But the thing is, and also Eric Andre has seen your thing. What is that going to lead to you? These are people with pull. But, again, that's just a name. I'm not saying that they can, But the thing is that, sorry, go ahead.
I could guarantee if, let's say that happened. Eric Andre is a special guest judge for this. They'd be like, what the fuck does he have to do with abridging?
Get out of there. It's not about abridging. It's about taking this farther than abridging, in that this could legitimately help. You could have this, if this was geared in the right way, this could legitimately help a young entertainer. This could legitimately do something. Instead of a trophy, get the kid an ID4. Get the kid an interface. Get the kid a mic. Why the hell? Why is it a trophy?
Adobe for a year.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Well, you can pirate Adobe. Fuck Adobe.
Straight equipment. What if they already have that equipment?
Then they would maybe just go for something.
Like, if they're in the top,
it's all Blue Snowball, Blue Snowflake.
If they're the number one spot, chances are it's because they already had solid, good quality. So what do they need?
I'm not hearing like great quality. It can always go higher, And the thing is that if you're abridging, there is a very, very slim chance that you have great equipment. There's a very, very, very slim chance that you have great equipment if you're fucking with the bridging. It's out there. Don't get me wrong. There is someone out there that is, how many, like, for example, I'm speaking right now through $1,500 worth of equipment. I didn't get that through Anime Dubs abridging. I got that through working. I got that through doing commissions. I got that through legitimate work, not doing things for the anime community. How many other people have that? How many other people do that? It's out there. Again, it is out there. But it is not a lot, and a lot of the kids that are probably doing this, they probably have either an entry-level interface or they're on a Blue Yeti. Both pretty, in the grand scheme of things, teetering on garbage.
Okay.
Blue Yeti garbage, interface teetering on garbage.
Okay, well,
low-end interface. So it's like, that's the thing. You can legitimately help these kids. You can legitimately get these kids ahead if you actually, get some cool stuff. But,
Well, here's the thing.
I honestly feel like the best way you could help someone is just to give them like the critique they need and drive to go forward, and then they will start pushing for themselves.
The critique they need, correct?
You can't just hand them everything, because when you start handing people everything, they expect more. They don't do things for themselves then.
But they made a video for it. They made a whole video. They dedicated a week, month, whatever to make this video. They're getting something back for it. What are you talking about? This is labor. Are you saying that what they're doing is not labor? Are you saying that all they deserve is TeamFourStar's probably not the most educated critique?
But here's where I don't know if I agree with that. All the rewards were made clear at the very start. If you entered expecting those rewards, regardless of the amount of effort you were putting in. If you put in a day of effort into it and you made it into the top 30,
there was a heavy implication that there'd be exposure, though.
No, I'd agree that there's an implication that there be exposure.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying that.
Let's also look at before we lose it in where we're going now. We have to look at what does the opinion of TeamFourStar matter to the future of these people that are making these Abridged series? What does it matter to their future in content creating? What does it matter to their future in Abridged series beyond, well, I mean, I got the TeamFourStar stamp of approval, so now what? What is that? What doors does that open?
Adult Swim. You can't go into Adult Swim Studios and be like, "Oh, TeamFourStar likes me." Oh, who is that? Leave. You know, that's a very blunt way of putting it, but that's the reality.
Okay, well,
is that these things that people are doing don't have that.
You guys are thinking very like one-to-one about this. Look at this. Oh, okay. I went into TIBA. I placed in TIBA. Now I'm gonna go try and get a job at Adult Swim. No,
we look out.
We
look out for the people who are doing labor. We look out for the labor doers.
They've chosen to do that,
and we're trying to educate them.
And there is a long gap that is going to be between the point where, let's say, little Jimmy goes through TIBA and goes to work at Adult Swim, but TIBA might give him the motivation to keep going to get to that point. It's never going to be one-to-one. That is ridiculous to think.
Can I just quickly?
It's not ridiculous.
Guys, can I stop this real quick?
I mean, no, wait. I don't know. Please, I've done a what's it called? Like I've done a cartoon dub or whatever it's called. You know, I've done a few of those. You know, I'm trying to get my name on a pilot right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to write for these things. I'm not that far gapped from that.
Before we go forward, right? I don't know whether or not this is the thing, but the thing is about the entirety of TIBA. I think that really what we're trying to define here is that whether or not TIBA is something that people are doing for recognition because it's a hobby or recognition because they want to get a career as an entertainer. Those two things are entirely different right now. So, I mean, it is true that some people are just creating an Abridged series because they want to celebrate something they love. And that's a point that I think that we're kind of delving away from. There's always going to be experts in an industry of hobbies. You're going to have someone who's the best fisher in the world. You're going to have someone who's the most popular fisher in the world. But you're not going... But really what we need to define here is whether or not TIBA is good for the community, despite whether or not TeamFourStar are making it an actual effort to promote these people. Whether or not... people being... that they're... them actually sending direction to the parodies, that could be done better. Absolutely. They could tweet out the actual original YouTube videos rather than just featuring it on their site and putting their link in the description.
They didn't do that?
They didn't do that.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I can answer that question very, very, very simply and give plenty of room for rebuttals on both sides. It all depends on what you think the Abridged community is. Is the Abridged community every creator and the amount of creations that are made, or is the Abridged community how popular the guys at the top are? Is that what means something to the community? Does the popularity of the top guys control whether the Abridging community has life breathed into it? Does it control whether it matters? Or is it the popularity and the success of the people that do it that controls whether Abridging matters and whether it has life breathed into it? And if you think that it's the other people, that it's the total of everyone, then TIBA does not enhance that in any way. It's not designed to enhance that in any way. If you think that it's controlled by how popular the most popular guys are, what's the biggest you can get to, the higher the bar is, then the better the community is, then TIBA furthers it through TeamFourStar. That's the view that I see that TIBA does. Okay, that's what it does for the...
I think something that we should do, given the fact this has kind of been just most of it has been criticizing TeamFourStar and the way they've been handling this tournament. The fact is that this is the first time that TeamFourStar as a group has been doing that. But I think maybe just thinking that I don't know what's actually it's whether or not you actually have the love for the Abridging. For Abridging as I'm going to use the word art form, even though it's just you creating something.
No, please use it. Please use it.
Wait, hold on. What are we talking about? What's going on? What?
Because the thing is,
he called Abridging an art form.
KaiserNeko did put in the chat, and he is defending himself, but it's just that it's, you know, he's saying that of course that TIBA was not intended to bring traffic to them. That's absurd, and if you believe that, sorry, I can wholeheartedly tell you that's wrong. And that's that this conversation is...
I understand that it was not just to solely bring traffic. Yeah, I mean,
it's intention versus reality.
No, I've been
sort of. You know, I don't. Again, I said in the beginning, I think it is a genius business move on their part. I think for their company, for their business, I think it is a good move. And you know, someone could be like, oh well, ethically, I don't care about ethics. It's the internet. Who gives a shit? If they are doing something to get their dollar up, I have no problem with that.
I'm concerned because we have Abcom podcast.
That's just me.
On there.
Get him in here. I'm going to congratulate him. I will congratulate him right now.
Andrew, I want to shake his hand. Good job.
I will congratulate him on a job well done.
Where I don't know.
I think
like
I was hearing the stream earlier.
As a gesture to the community, I love TIBA because it's something that no one really had to do, and I understand the implication of business success, and I'm certainly not going to deny that because that would be like. Facts are facts. Like there's traffic going to the website. It's monetized. I'm in Florida. I have to watch fucking Trump ads. It's abysmal. And
should we
you know
because I think it can pick up us.
Like that's actually that's the worst part about TIBA for me. Is that I have to watch Trump ads. You know.
Wait, Trump ads?
Just want to move him to a different.
Like, well, because it's done by region, and I'm in fucking Florida. Yes. Like I'm Canadian, and I'm in Florida. It's just awful.
You're talking about. Oh, I thought that they were endorsing Trump. Never mind.
No. Kaiser might.
I'm just quickly getting something. I hope this is the right guy.
Yeah. What?
Kaiser may be joining the chat.
What? This one?
Like the actual.
If he wants to come on and like clarify some things, that would be very welcomed.
Get him in.
I was just gonna to close off my point is I just like I think for anything where like the community is motivated to make content, that's good for the community irregardless of what's happening. And I think some people need a kick in the ass to go out and make stuff. Period. And I think that's positive.
Okay, so
I don't know.
Bringing Kaiser into the call. KaiserNeko, can you hear us? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear y'all.
Okay, so
everyone in the chat, yes, it's me, and I do have time on a Saturday.
Tell these guys they're wrong.
Okay, look, this is obvious.
First of all, I love the fact that currently you're going to bet for me. Okay, look, I want to clear something up real quick because I've noticed a lot of this in the chat. One, we're barely making any money off this entire thing, like flat out. Like this has barely made us any goddamn money. People have been talking about the traffic we're getting to the site, and yeah, okay, look, I can actually say, sure, we're getting more traffic over onto the site, but it was never going to be that much in the first place because the thing that gets traffic to our fucking site is Dragon Ball Z Abridged. The TIBA stuff is a way to give people some exposure. That is certainly something that we wanted to do because when it came to monetary prizes, that was always going to be kind of difficult because the fact is, even with the Patreon, we're paying a lot of people a lot of money right now. But we did at least want to make the T-shirts, the trophies. We wanted to give them something that was like, hey, yeah, you won the contest. It's not about a whole lot more than just like, you know, it's a contest. It's for fun.
Can I ask something?
Go ahead.
Okay, I want to clarify this because you're actually here, and now I'm not, you know. There is no longer speculation. Instead of trophies, why was it not something like an audio interface, something along that sort?
You want to know why? Because we did not think of that. We honestly thought, hey, you know, it would be so cool. They'll get a trophy. They'll have something to say. Yeah, we won. That's all. But we were like, yeah, that'll be cool.
I'll get him an Xbox. Yeah, that'll help him. That'll help the career. No, wait.
Where is the money going that you do make from it? Where is that money going to go?
Well, almost all the money that's made on the site just goes back into like equipment for the studio and the business and whatnot. And
I mean, from the contest, I'm talking like money that you make from this contest, from the viewership, from the traffic. Where does that go?
Well, as I already said, we barely make any money off this because, yeah, while we do have traffic, we also have server expenses to pay for.
Oh, I understand, but I'm asking where that money. Are you planning? Would you maybe be in the ballpark of an idea of planning to use the money that you make from it for something special, or just it's going to go towards your costs, and that's it?
It goes toward most of it goes towards cost of both maintaining the site and making the trophies, the shirts for everybody. Like, again, we barely made any money off this contest at all.
I'm not talking about the volume. I'm not saying that you're getting rich off the contest. I just want to know where the money is going. So it's going towards...
It's going towards business expenses. Almost all the money on the site goes towards business, and the Patreon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the Patreon 100% goes into the business every time.
Wait, I thought for a second you were saying the money goes into the Patreon as a.
No, it doesn't.
Sorry. Okay. Anyway,
the money that is made via the site and via the Patreon, almost all of that gets spent on studio expenses, paying our actors, our editors. That's all.
Okay.
So the T-shirt that they get. Hold on, this is very important to me personally. The T-shirt that they get, is it a TIBA shirt or is it like a really cool shirt, like a Nike shirt? Because no, here's the thing. Legitimately,
there was no middle ground there.
No. Look. Legitimately. Like, let's say if they had the option between a TIBA shirt and like a really nice like Nike Air shirt, I would be like, okay, that's a good prize. Like, are you giving them the option?
No, it's a TIBA shirt. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I hate this contest. It's horrible.
Okay, well, look, disregarding the money in this entire thing, Kaiser, do you think that is TIBA itself supposed to be a way to kind of bring life back into the Abridged community, given the fact it has been reasonably stagnant over the years?
Yes. Actually, the person who came up with the idea of the contest was Taka, and Taka loves this shit. Like, I won't lie. For me, I've been kind of on the outside of it because I've been working on Dragon Ball and working on getting the studio set up so we can get actual anime properties into our studio, which we are currently doing. We've been busy setting stuff up outside of the whole abridging spectrum because, by and large, and this is me being quite honest, when it comes to abridging, it is a stepping stone to getting bigger and to bigger and better things at the most. And while I love working on Dragon Ball, don't get me wrong, it has been a passion project since the very beginning. We have to accept that there's a limitation to what you can do, and it should not be your end goal. So for the last several years, we noticed that this thing that we started on, Taka really noticed it because there are only a few shows, like one or two, that we actually actively watch. So we were hoping to possibly do more with it, and he's the one who came up with the idea of the contest. He's the one who definitely wanted this to happen. Like, he just loved the idea. He loves the idea of the palm of the circumstance and helping the fandom out.
Why isn't he here?
What is your final goal? Would you rather? What is it that they want to do when it comes to improving the community? Do you want to improve the quality of the content within the community or the amount of content in the community? Because right now, what TIBA looks like it's doing is it's creating more people create, but it has no incentive to be better rather than...
That was another thing. That was another thing I was looking at. Sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say, on top of that, do you think that if this is supposed to bring life and bring attention to quality within the community, why is it the case that there's only just links in the description of the website? Do you think that more could be done to bring attention to these people?
Probably. I mean, we definitely try to make sure, one of the biggest problems, say, on the YouTube, is that it's really difficult for us to promote copyrighted content that's not, stuff that we've already been getting away with. So when it came to promoting people's stuff on the YouTube, we could only give that video with links in the description to the video. And showing the bare minimum like that we could get away with. Yeah,
like, why risk your own stuff? That's not a smart move, right?
Oh wait, you're asking. Wait, they're asking him to put the stuff on YouTube. They're asking you to put the other videos on YouTube.
No. Well, I'm just talking about how we could better promote those people's the entries and the people who made those entries.
I mean, does Twitter kill people for copyright?
It can. It's in the terms of service. They could.
I mean, I've never seen someone get a strike on Twitter.
Barely anybody does, but it has happened. I've seen it because the circles I roll in are basically just full of people posting that kind of shit. As you know, little clips here and there, we were able to get totally away with that with some of the super stuff that we've been doing, but that's because they're really small. I think if somebody actually posted a full, like, abridged episode, they might get in trouble. But then again, you know, Twitter is like a lawless wasteland, so it's
the only people that control the law are the people that run the site.
Yeah. So. When it comes down to it, in the future, I'd say that the first thing that we'll definitely want to do, because we wanted to make sure that the judges' remarks were in each video. We were throwing around, why don't we just put a link to the actual video there? But then there also came the issue that there were a lot of people who did not even have their stuff up on YouTube. They literally just, they got taken down, or they didn't want to risk it in the first place, so they just sent us their video. So what we ultimately ended up doing was we decided, okay, we'll just have to put the remarks at the end of the video, re-export it, as lossless as we could.
No, make it really lossy. Make them look bad.
Oh, yeah.
And sound bad.
The source quality was amazing. Unfortunately,
in everything above 9K, just take that out. Get rid of it.
Oh, dear. Well...
And somebody pointed out, yeah, the tweet should have linked to the original. You're right. Look, I'm going to start off by saying this wasn't flawless. Like, we made mistakes. And I'm actually willing to admit we made mistakes in the creation of this contest. This was our first one, and we probably should have asked for a little bit more professional help from people. But this was not meant to hurt anyone. It was not meant to exploit anyone. The idea of this contest was this would be really cool, and this would get people talking and moving again. So I'm really sorry, like, to anybody watching or listening who feels offended or frustrated with us. I'm actually really sorry. We never meant to upset anybody. Of course, you know, road to hell and all that. But we want, if we do this again, to do it better. So we're going to listen to you guys, and we're going to take all your feedback. And I'm, again, really sorry if we ended up exploiting anybody for any reason. That was never our intention.
This seems like an impossible brand to run, because it's like you have to deal with specifically with the brand, because it's not so much the quantity, it's the level, how do I put this? It's the level of fairness that is being attempted to promote, in the sense of, like, let's say, like with me and Drew, because I work with Drew a lot. Let's say if I were to do a contest like this, if I were to just, people would just put stuff, let's say I get 20 videos and I say they all suck, like, my fan base would be completely fine with it because they're used to being told they're shitty people. Like, is it, like, at any point have you thought, man, I got to just re-gear this brand so, like, people just expect to be hated?
It is an impossible brand to keep a hold of because it is based on copyrighted content. I mean,
I don't mean that. I mean, like, specifically, I mean, like, legally. No, I mean brand management. Like, is it hard? Is it hard to be the quote unquote nice guy?
Yeah, it is. It is very difficult to be the nice guy, because you have to find that balance of when you're just folding to people and when you're being like, no, you're wrong. It doesn't matter if you're the consumer, you're wrong. It's really difficult because you want to make sure that people like you, but at the same time, you've got to make sure that you're speaking the facts and that you're being honest and open. Because, again, not everybody's right all the time. But in this regard, people have legitimate concerns and frustrations.
What are some plans, if another one was to be done, what are some plans that you would have in order to make it so people are expecting the worst?
Wait,
what?
What is a way that you can make it so your entry, if you do another one, that your entries are just expecting the harshest criticism, and then if somebody gets something nice, everything's nice and fine. Have you considered something like that? How would you word that if you were to do another contest?
Sorry, I'm still a little lost on you meaning.
I'm saying part of the reason that you fell into, I mean, I don't want to like claim your situation, but for lack of a better word, a shitstorm, people are freaking out. People are all mad because, oh, you don't like, so and so. What is something that you would do different in terms of, get ready to be hated, and then if they're liked, then they feel really, really nice.
When it comes down to it, in the future, I mean, I'm pretty sure people, if they paid attention to this first one, and if we're going to do the second one, by and large, like, if there's a return audience, they're going to be prepared for that. But I think in the future, we're going to restructure how we actually do the judges' comments, and we might actually segment them to certain, like, because I won't lie, it was kind of slapdash with how we did the comments this time, because HBI, who was helping run the contest, he took over halfway through for the majority of the responsibilities because Taka got really busy. And so he was like, okay, judges' comments for the end of each video, go. So that's why you have a couple of people who are really getting in depth. You have me over here who's being critical, but trying to be like, I see the upside here, but by and large, this was not a very good entry. And then you have Paula Abdul Taka. That's
the happiest moment of everyone.
Yeah, no, he's short, he's succinct, and he's not incredibly good for feedback in that regard. But he's also the guy who was like, he started this contest. He wants people to, like, he wants to give people a positive response. And I understand that. I get where he's coming from. Unfortunately, I kind of erred on the other side. I'm like, I'm going to just give my honest personal feelings on it. But I can actually admit I did not get enough feedback in terms of, what is usable, what is applicable. I basically just gave, I didn't like it sometimes. Sometimes it literally just came down to, I thought it was bad.
Okay.
Are you looking to hire new judges?
No,
slide your CV across the table there, Max.
Don't make me get my resume.
Yeah, because if you were to hire me and Drew for the top 10, I guarantee you, people will take their answer and they will be happy with it.
I mean,
we will sell it to them. We'll wrap it in gold wrapping paper. It'll be great.
I am great at telling people they're terrible and motivating them beyond belief. Look, you have no idea.
But
okay, first of all, I have some idea.
Okay.
But when it comes down to it, like the brass tacks, if we do this again, we're going to have to make improvements, and one of those is the judging process, like the actual process of reviewing the content and our feedback given afterward. Because while actually, SoulBro, what do I call you? Do I call you? What should I call you?
Max. You call me Max.
Okay, Max.
I'm not an internet user. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Max. You were not wrong. 2 million subscribers meant that we had a lot of responsibility here, and we probably didn't live up to it as much as we should have. We went into this like this will be a fun contest. We'll give some rewards out. It'll be a good time. But there were a lot of people who put a lot of time and effort into these works, and we were honest and upfront with what we were giving back. Hell, our personal responses at the end of the videos were never even that big a part of the contest to begin with. They were more of here's the review of each entry given after the fact. But it's still that feedback, expected or not, still means that those 2.2 million people expected a lot.
On top of also the people that are entering the contest who also expect a lot.
Go ahead.
Can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead.
In light of all this, and kind of like the impact that your guys' critiques have had on people and whatnot. Would you consider, after this competition is over, perhaps doing for your website or just on the YouTube or whatever, a kind of community spotlight segment where you kept, giving a look at other people's work that you guys have seen and giving a little bit of critique on them? If perhaps if you saw one you liked, you message them and went, hey, are you cool with critique? Yes, okay. And that would kind of not only continuously help the community beyond this competition, but it would be something that could be done maybe not super regularly, but still keep it going after the competition's over.
I think if we did something like that, ultimately it would have to be very much a spotlight of the week, what's going on. And it would be less of a critique thing. I'm sure that if we were to write a paragraph that goes along with it, we'd spotlight why we're talking about it. And we'd list the good parts and the bad parts. Whether or not we'd have, and this may sound kind of shitty, but whether or not we had enough material every week to do that is another issue entirely.
That's kind of why I was pitching it as a rare thing, like a month.
I was gonna say,
of the month seems like that is totally acceptable. Because if we were to go just by what's in our top 10, which some of the shit in the top 10 is really good. I was really happy with it. But if I were to go just by what's in our top 10, yeah, I'd say for at least a year we would have something that we could spotlight every month. And yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. We definitely and we would link and embed in the actual video every time, because there's no judges commentary necessary. There's none of that. There's no lead in, lead out. We just post their video with a link and a description and be like, hey, check this out. We'd also have to ask them beforehand, because there's no way we're going to do that without permission. But I'd absolutely love to start doing something like that. Actually, that's something that Taka has been pushing for a long time. Taka loves the idea of hey, wouldn't be cool if we could link to somebody's stuff and they could get more feedback and more exposure. And I'm like, that sounds really cool. We're kind of focused on our brand right now, but we'll talk about that later. Because as it is, TeamFourStar doesn't want to be the Abridging guys forever. As I said before, we don't want to do that forever. And despite the fact that that's all we've been doing, we have our sights set on other things. The two actual recording setups that we have in our studio right now are being used for independent video games and actual anime dubs. So we're looking to move.
Do you guys have actually your licensing anime like Funimation does, or?
I can't talk too much about it, but that is currently on the docket.
Really making anime?
Look, no, I have a question.
Yeah, I know.
I
know.
No, I have a question. So I mean, obviously, you've obviously built enough connections to run a dubbing studio like a Funimation, like a Bang Zoom, or whatever name. What I'm wondering is with the TeamFourStar thing, one of the things that comes with that brand is these are the funny guys. What I'm wondering is, are the sites set on just dubbing, or is it set on a full-on production house?
We are actually looking at production house. We are wholeheartedly. We currently have a bunch of people that we're hoping over the next, I'd say probably year. We have one of our best editors on the team looking to move here. Once he's here, we have we have composers, we have animators, we have editors. We're ready to start doing original content. Really, the big issue at the moment is just making sure that all the funds are in place, because once we get moving on that, a lot of the money that we've been saving up and putting into the business, that's about to be strained to the max. Because this shit's expensive. It is not
very expensive. Very, especially to be a production source, it's very expensive. So that's another reason why when people try to make their own stuff for things, it's it hurts a lot when they don't get a big kickback, because there's not only a lot of effort that goes in time-wise, but money-wise. It's not like the stuff that we use to record things is free.
Oh yeah, no, and trust me. You're talking to the guy who worked on Dragon Ball Z Abridged for over 8 years without being able to monetize that content. And we didn't start making any money off of our brand until after about 4 years in, except for some T-shirts that we were selling. And let me assure you, that wasn't paying any bills. Dragon Ball Z Abridged has not like directly made us any money for a long time, and did not like roundabout make us any money for years. I understand, and I know.
And I know where you're coming from as well. I mean, when I started in 2006 as a voice actor, I had hundreds of dollars in. Then I started doing music. I've got thousands of dollars in, and it's like that upfront cost, I feel, is invisible to everybody, either at the viewing level or when you get to a point where your expenditure is so high that you think everything else is irrelevant. And it's something that I think that if more people understood how much money goes into even small projects, then the problem where creatives don't make a lot of money because everyone thinks that they can just ask us to do stuff for free, they would start to understand that that's wrong and why that's wrong.
Well, yeah,
and it would not only help, Abridging and other facets of creative expression, moving on to other things more realistically, because people will look at it although it is a hobby. It's something that some people will contribute a lot towards, and what some people will not contribute a lot towards. And it's very easy to tell the people that put a lot of money down up front. And
how long can you reside in the red?
There's this weird mentality that somehow popularity equals monetary status, and you can be someone who has a ridiculous amount of subscribers or whatever and still be like, guys, I need to eat, I'm starving.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, here's the thing. This is why a lot of the criticisms me and Drew had on Abridging in general, it's not just for Abridging, it's for the internet in general, where the internet is the bizarro world where, oh hey, you have a lot of subscribers, you're fucking broke. It's free to subscribe. It was like someone was comparing there was an article that was comparing Howard Stern on Sirius XM to PewDiePie, and they were saying PewDiePie has surpassed Howard Stern in subscriber numbers. He has 20 million. Howard Stern only has 17 million. And what people don't understand, it's free to subscribe. You have to pay to subscribe to Howard Stern. That's $50. What is that, like a month, a year? I don't know what that is, but it's like, 50 times 18 million. Do the, it's a lot of people don't get that.
To get back to the contest, I've seen a lot of people comparing TIBA to American Idol, and I want to do two quick things, 2 quick points as to why it's not American Idol for Abridging. One, an American Idol, the people that are judging you are industry professionals. One of them is somebody who has a huge standing in the business and has worked in the business for a very long time, and him liking you means you have a future. Simon Cowell. They usually get a singer in there for a singer's standpoint. Sometimes there's another singer or a dancer in there for the performance side. Yeah. And then they have a guy who might be a producer from a different style of music, usually the celebrity guest, somebody that has the entertainment knowledge. But they're not all like part of one clique. They're not all part of one group. They all come from different backgrounds. Some of them don't know each other. Some of them do know each other. But the one thing that they do know is why they're there, and that's for their specialities. I
think there's
and
sorry to interrupt you, Drew, but Martin or LittleKuriboh wants to also just join into this conversation, if that's okay with everybody.
Martin Short, sure. Martin Short or
Martin is in LittleKuriboh. Martin.
Dude, if Martin Short's watching this, that'd be
yeah, no, Martin Short, he goes in, but
hello, Martin.
But to finish my point. Hello, Martin. Welcome to the call.
Hello.
To finish my point is when you participate in something like American Idol, your singing, your performance is broadcast to everybody that watches the show, and there are people in the audience that are industry professionals, producers, scouts. These kind of people go to these shows to look for new talent. And just being on the show, getting to a certain point on the show, you don't even have to win necessarily
that's the big
to get
point,
something out of it. Whereas TIBA, even if you win, you don't really. It's nothing like winning on American Idol at all.
Remember
it's
how big
nothing...
Sanjaya was for losing? That was cool.
You may very well end up.
Of TIBA.
You may
So
very
don't
well
compare
end
it
up,
like
bang
that.
of TIBA.
You may very well end up with other abridgers going, wow, hey, that guy's a really good talent. I should kind of work with them or something. But I mean, if you're expecting some like top dog in the abridging industry, then no, you're like that. There's not really that.
I mean,
That's why you should not compare it to American Idol.
I think
Please
the one thing that I think should be said just about the entire process in TIBA, and this can be just a little segue on to Martin who wants to say something about the judging process. It's that I think the one main thing that TeamFourStar should improve on if they do plan to do this next is the communication. It has been random and sparse, and sometimes you just have to follow all of the TeamFourStar members and look at Reddit and look at the YouTube comment section to even understand what's going on. Like, at one moment we thought that Masako said it was going to be the results were going to be released sometime in September. Then they turned into October, and then we thought there was only going to be one Fuck the Judges award, and then there was suddenly all these others honorable mentions. I think communication with the people there is probably the thing that does need to improve.
There's something I want to address in the chat. There's a bit of a debate as to whether abridging is an industry, and this is also a question I have. So I direct the attention to Martin with a question. Martin, you created the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridge, correct?
Yeah, created is a big word.
Well, I mean, okay. So you started that trend. Abridged. Everybody use abridged. KaiserNeko here. Do you see a check from him at the end of the month?
Is
that a no?
It's the 15th. Where's my kickback?
Well, it's a yes or no. Do you see a check from him at the end of the month?
No, absolutely.
Okay, so
if anything, I see a check from him. Not really.
Yeah.
No, it's not an industry.
But yeah, it's not like Neumann getting checks from like Blue or Now there's the recording industry. Now there's an industry, but sorry, I derailed this. What's going on?
Yeah, you wanted to say something about the judging process there, Martin?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say a couple of things to make it very clear where I'm coming from. Number one, I don't speak for TeamFourStar or Kaiser or anybody directly linked to that group. I'm just here because I heard an interesting conversation and I wanted to chime in. And obviously I'm sort of directly linked to the TIBA thing as one of the judges. But I want to make it also very clear that I was not part of the inception or the conception of this whole thing. And I don't want people to think that, I'm 100% the authority on it. But I do have...
I wasn't. I mean, nobody here claimed that.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm just.
Yeah. I know. I was just putting it out there to make sure nobody takes my quotes and attributes it to. Yeah, for the record, sort of thing.
I'm gonna blog about this on my live journal. Anyway.
Second of all, I just want to make it very clear that no matter what I say about TIBA in general, I am the last person ever who should be criticizing any abridger for not having their shit together and not being on point and not knowing what they're doing. And I'm not saying that that's the case in this instance. I'm just saying anything that I say can probably be thrown back at me on a negative aspect, being maybe something didn't go as well as it could have. Well, I mean, look at anything I've done. But when it comes to the judging, I just wanted to say, actually, to start off, before I talk about the judging, I wanted to mention that I've been approached dozens of times throughout the last 10 years to do a contest of this sort by many people, some of them official, some of them just as part of a promotional aspect for a convention, and some people just because they think it's a fun idea. And I've always said no. And the reason I've always said no is because it's, first of all, way too intimidating, and second of all, I knew a lot of people would get upset. They would, for whoever was getting something big out of it, for whoever was getting the acknowledgement or the attention or the reward that they wanted, there was going to be a lot of people. Hello?
intimidating for the people or you?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intimidated just by sitting down and writing a script, but the idea of watching dozens of entries of abridged shows and trying to rank them, it's scary for me because, like I said, for every person who's going to get something out of that, there's going to be a lot more people who don't and who feel like they've been like put to the side or they've been ignored or they've not been given their just desserts or whatever. But so the fact that TeamFourStar even attempted something like this is, in my opinion, to be commended because I don't think anybody else could have done it, and I don't think anybody else would have, like, I don't think if it was done even the best way they could have possibly done it the first time they did it, I don't think people would have seen that huge of a kickback from it because it just isn't possible. I think there's I hate to say it, a lot more interest in TeamFourStar than there is Abridging right now, and that's the honest truth.
Well, yeah, probably.
That's where I was coming from as well.
That actually, I kind of feel like, is the whole point of this. It had to start somewhere. And people are looking at that and going, oh, hey, we know TeamFourStar. Oh, hey, now some people know these guys. This first competition is not the point. This first competition is kind of getting your feet wet in the water, testing it. And there was going to be people who were pissed off. There are always going to be those people. There's always going to be something that is done wrong. But doing something, trying, that is the point, because from there you learn. And I do want to say, I know there's a lot of stuff that's been said on this podcast so far, but it's worth noting and just straight up telling you both, and if you can relay it to the rest of the team, thank you for trying. It had to start somewhere.
Sorry, what?
Lower.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
sorry.
And there's one thing I just wanna say towards what Pyro was saying. This is not the first contest of its type that's to ever exist. So there's not as many excuses as you may think for the type of mistakes that have been made, but it's still a learning opportunity. It's something that you could have learned from other people's mistakes that came before you made the contest. But we've seen that. I mean, it's kind of silly to think that you would walk into a contest situation where you're hosting a contest and think, well, this isn't going to make me popular at all. This isn't going to be about the organizers when we have our name plastered all over everything. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But at the same time, it's also just as ridiculous to think that the only people that make anything out of it are the contest organizers, and I recognize that. But the way how it's framed right now, the way how it was done, which we can't take back, it's in the past, it's over, so we can't take it back. We can change for the future, but we can't take the past back. It's very hugely scaled towards TeamFourStar getting good things than anyone else who's doing.
That's bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut in here. Hugely scaled towards us. No, that's ridiculous. I already told you. This barely does anything for us.
Like, what does it do for the people that are in it?
Nothing greater than nothing. What it does for the people is, I can assure you, some people have been getting a lot of exposure from this contest, like flat out. And we have barely been getting anything from this contest besides, oh yeah, a lot of people were talking about it in a community that already existed. This was to get the community talking and moving. So at what point do we get all this, benefit from it? What exactly is our benefit? Because it's certainly not making a whole lot of money. Well, I already told you, it is not. Does
the community moving benefit the people that are in it, or does it benefit the people that already benefit from the community when it wasn't moving and now it's moving?
It benefits the community because, by and large, the community was stagnating.
Right.
And so what happens is you have a lot of people talking to a lot of other people and moving again. And you get people talking to people who maybe weren't so into this, who are now more into it.
Which helps.
That's. I mean, look.
Not us.
I think there's.
Tell us how that benefits us exactly.
I think there's two sides.
I don't mean.
There's definitely two sides to this, because if you look at it this way, this contest has caused a very large surge of people to try starting Abridging. And I know plenty of people who have started and then said, okay, this is more work than I thought, I'm maybe going to stop, or some people who are now continuing to do so. I'm part of a lot of projects now because of this contest. But the one thing, I understand that you may not be making money from it, Kaiser, but there is a lot of traffic then being directed to your site, is it not?
I mean, sorry. I mean, he asked. I just wanted to say something to get it more like a middle ground understanding between the two parties. Is that he's not, you know, again, we don't assume, no one is saying that your goal is to all traffic goes to, you know, no one is saying, I mean, I don't know, maybe somebody is implying, but how I stand is that I know that that's not your goal to get the thing, but what ended up happening was it sort of ended up like everybody getting into it didn't get a lot, and it just happened to, you ended up getting more out of it. That wasn't your goal. That wasn't your intention.
Right. It's just
I think that's what people are
versus
saying.
Reality. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no one is claiming that you are intentionally, you know, this is your, you know, no one's saying that.
Okay, but that still comes up down to what exactly more are we getting? Because yeah, we're getting traffic over to the site, but that traffic is getting, like, the traffic is to get views for those people's material.
Every view is a view, you know?
Yeah. And we link to those people's material, and if people didn't like it, they're not going to check out more from them. If they do like it, they're going to check out more from them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so sure, I can definitely say that for the bottom 10, maybe, actually, they may not get as much they probably won't get as much traffic as the top 10 guys will. They're not going to benefit as much from it.
Right.
But by and large, people, like, we're not getting tons and tons and tons of traffic on our site. Like,
well, I guess the imbalancement comes in at, how do you feel? Okay, how do you feel? Because I'm just trying to mathematically figure it out. How do you feel the labor that went into TIBA compares with the labor that the kids put into their videos? Put it like that. And I guess that's where someone might have an issue. I'm not saying that I have a problem with it.
I mean, that's the interesting thing about that, and is if I had to be that guy, I would say they knew what they were doing when they got into this contest, or they didn't, but they saw it through to the end. The work that they put into it, the work that they took time to do, they knew exactly what the end result was going to be, and if they didn't, that's something that they have to keep in mind in the future, because we weren't dishonest about anything.
You know, sorry, go on.
No, go on.
Putting content on YouTube in general is a gamble. Like you can put 2 to 3 months worth of effort into a video and it can get taken down in 5 seconds. TeamFourStar gave people a chance to put a month or so's worth of effort into a video and showcase it on the most popular Abridging brand website possible and have it there permanently. That is a gift. I hate to say it, that is a gift. What they are getting out of that is fucking negligible at the end of the day compared to the chance to have your work viewed by great comedic talent and fans of those people. Okay. And you may see that...
Wait, where's the great comedic talent?
Oh,
I was gonna interject with that. No, go ahead.
I was done, basically.
Great comedic talent are performing on stages.
Before we proceed, I think there's one thing that I just need to say real quick. This is obviously not the best introduction to this new thing. I know that Pyro and myself have been involved in creating a small community that's been riding off the TIBA thing, getting people involved and more people collaborating. This is where this podcast originated, and I don't want, I hope that's not the case, and it may be, but this is supposed to be more of a supportive podcast. This entire thing was supposed to put forward the question that yes, TIBA is bad, but let's see how we could improve on it.
And I want to say that congratulations to all of you.
Go ahead.
I do want to say congratulations, because all of you have shown more passion in this conversation for Abridging than I have in like months. So, and I'm not saying that as a joke, but it's true. It's funny because it's true.
What's months compared to like 10 years though?
I mean, what is it? Who cares? You know. At the end of the day, you guys are talking about it, and that's something the contest did.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
no, that's...
my opinions, although they're gonna sound extreme and it's gonna sound like I want the contest destroyed. The reason why I frame what I'm saying is that I want people like that are working with on TeamFourStar side, so people like Kaiser and Martin, that when I put out these extreme things, that their answers not only answer what I'm saying, but it stops other people that actually think that from believing it, because then you've got both sides. But you can't get both sides unless somebody's willing to put their neck out and be like, oh yeah, well what about you pay the troll toll?
To jump in, I think Drew's been a fantastic devil's advocate for this entire
Yeah,
conversation.
that's just what I'm trying to do.
Which is
here.
no, exactly, and it's fantastic too, because you're coming from a defense of professional work, and I am fortunate not to interact with a lot of people who are disillusioned in terms of what abridging means for furthering your career and stuff. But it's a good reminder that those people still exist within the community and need to be educated that it's not, an end track thing.
I thought you were on their side.
I think honestly, having spoken to a lot of people,
wherever the light is.
I certainly don't think that TeamFourStar have been preaching that from the very start. It's just something that's evolved without their idea. I've spoken to many people who have went to many panels that TeamFourStar have done in the past, and they have always said, this is not something you should do to get famous. This is something you should do because you love it. And I think having this conversation will help people understand that, because abridging in itself, if you're not looking at it as a way to further your career, is a fun thing to do. You're going to make new friends.
That's why I said it was a hobby.
Yeah.
It's a hobby. It's a wonderful hobby.
And again, we said we must have reinforced 5 times, we are not speaking to the people that do it, that only want it to be a hobby. We're speaking to the people who think it's going to be a major career move. That's all. No. Those are the only people we're speaking to. We're not speaking to the hobbyists. We don't,
I can't knock someone for doing something for fun. That's ridiculous. You're allowed to do whatever makes you happy, but remember that there are people out there that they have a final goal and they don't know the way to get there. And if people are giving them the illusion about, oh well, this can get you somewhere, or oh, this is a great place to start, which is actually
one of the reasons over the last couple of years, because we I'm not gonna lie, we grew faster than we were prepared for. We just did. Yeah. Because we weren't. I've said this to a couple of people lately. We weren't ready for 2 million subscribers. We weren't. Both as content creators and as people. It's just too many eyes, too many expectations, and all the time and money we were putting into it, we knew that we had to do something, because if we were going to continue, we had to become more professional. I can definitely say that for the first several years, we were not professional. We were treating this wholly as a hobby. We made a lot of mistakes. Luckily, we were able to fail upwards. But in doing that, we have had trouble evolving our message to the people about how and why you should approach this stuff, because there are a lot of people out there who think, oh, I'll do what TeamFourStar did. No. I mean, at the very bare minimum, maybe do what Rooster Teeth did. But no, do not do what TeamFourStar did. It is almost always going to end in failure. We are a lucky accident.
The one thing that needs to be very firmly addressed, which it's not specifically with TeamFourStar, it's with pretty much every, I guess, startup internet business or startup internet production house pre-2009. A lot of it is start early, and you are going to be doing better than the people that start late post the YouTube 2010 big boom.
Yeah,
that's a big part of
it. It was the Wild West when I started abridging. And I say many times that the only reason I was noticed is because who else was doing it? It was literally the only thing of its kind, and not because I was so unique. Everybody's done parodies, but on YouTube at the time, nothing else was like that.
Well,
nothing else was happening like that.
Well,
now everybody's doing that,
I mean, what about things like My Way Entertainment? The G.I. Was that considered abridged, or what was that?
like I just said, parodies existed for a long time. You know, like and there are goofy dubs of cartoons since since film existed. You know, basically people were dubbing over stuff.
An example of that as well. That's currently, that's a dub of already existing content.
What's Up, Tiger Lily from the 70s? You know,
if we want to talk about
what?
Oh, sorry.
60s, yeah.
I'm joking.
If we want to talk about what abridging is, by the way, using the term abridging like this is something I really actively do not do.
Doesn't look good. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, I don't like to use that very often. Even with the with this abridged contest, I don't like to use it. Also, yes, the Fensler G.I. Joe films were the fucking best. Yes, thank you, chat. Yes. But when it comes to defining that shit, it's difficult. I've got my own personal idea of what it is. Taka's got his own personal idea of what it is. We could go into that, but when it comes down to it, the biggest thing comes back to you're using somebody else's footage. And how in the fuck do you make that a
career?
How do you make that a career? How do you evolve that? I mean,
you immediately lose everyone over 35. I'll tell you that right now.
Unless you're fucking adult, like you are literally William Street and you own those properties and you get to make stuff like C-Lab. You get to make stuff like Harvey Birdman.
Yeah,
right. But that's entirely that. That's
I
like
have a question. When you're done.
Go ahead.
Oh, when you're done, finish your thought, and then I'll give you the question.
All right. So it is. If we want to talk about what that stuff is, like what parody is, if we want to talk about how to make a career out of that, it gets really complicated. There's time, money, professional education, and experience, and a lot of this stuff. Like, as Max said, it is very rare that you're gonna find someone who's doing abridging that has any good, has a lot of that, who has professional experience or education or equipment.
Oh yeah.
But if you want to do that, if you want to do that, if you want to become a professional, you've got to be able to face the harsh reality of, your first stuff is going to absolutely suck. And if you don't listen to the professionals, if you don't heed the advice from the people who've been doing it longer than you, if you don't do your research, and if you don't educate yourself, you're always going to be, you're going to be a child, basically, in a room full of adults. So over the last couple of years, we have had to stop being children about this. We've had to get professional equipment. I've taken, all of us have taken acting workshops. We've taken writing workshops, improv. We've been listening to professional comedians. We've been doing the research because we knew that this shit just wasn't going to last if we just kept doing it the way that we were doing it. So I don't exactly know where I'm going with this, but that is personally my feeling about internet parodies, is that they're fun. They could be amazing to watch, hilarious, but making a career out of it, well, that's a whole other step, a whole other process. And no matter what, it's going to be corporate. It just
if you start rich, you can probably do it.
Oh yeah, you start rich, but that's a different fucking story.
Like Donald Trump could probably make the best anime dubs.
Dude,
you have no idea.
I have the best dubs.
I use the best anime.
Go there? Did we really just go there?
Yes.
Okay, we don't need to do an impression every time his name. Okay.
But anyway, my question is for both Kaiser and Martin, because they're the two that can weigh in on this the most, as they have a background with it. But I made a point way earlier in this debate, maybe before you guys were watching or listening, where one of the key skills as a voice actor in the years that I've been doing it forever, and I went from being someone who was in shitty brawl machinimas about people making fart jokes to independent video games and a shitty independent movie that nobody's heard about. I've learned that one of the key skills, if you want to make auditions, if you want to get jobs, is you have to be able to create your own character from nothing, using nothing but your voice. Now, in my opinion, from what I've done in abridging, I've done abridging for other people, I've done abridging with Macks, I've done my own abridged series that I wrote and created. on my own, which we just took the storyline of the Fatal Fury movie, threw it out the window, and put in our own thing, and that was really fun. But one thing I've learned is that abridging does not require you to create a new character. It doesn't require it. You can still do it, but it isn't. Right. It isn't rewarded as heavily as people that create the same character and make them say different things.
Okay.
Absolutely.
To me, this is a hindrance as a voice actor. What do you both think in your experience? Am I correct? And
agreed.
Is there
agreed? Like, if I can answer first, if you don't mind,
yes.
Martin.
No, go ahead.
Cut him off.
No, like, you're absolutely right. And in fact, that was a habit that we had to break. We were impressionists before we were voice actors. That's the fact. Of course, I can say Lanny actually from a very young age was actually doing stage. He was doing stage plays. He actually did commercial work for Radio Disney way back in the day when he was a youngin'. He actually got way into that very early on. That's why, honestly, he's got some of the best vocal range, some of the best control. He is actually, like, from the very beginning. Fucking, when it comes to impressions, that's garbage. If they want that impression, they'll get that actor. If they or they'll probably get a professional actor who does it better than you. We had to break away from that. And that's why moving forward, even if we did any content like that again, we would certainly not try to copy dub voice actors if we had the choice. Not that abridging is necessarily something we even want to continue doing at a high level. We want, I love Dragon Ball Z abridged. As dumb as that's going to sound to some people, and I know it is something that I've spent a lot of my time and effort and money and passion on, because Dragon Ball was something that I really, really enjoyed, with all of its multitudinous faults. But at the end of the day, I know that it isn't something that I can do for the rest of my life, and that it is child's play when it comes to actual content creation, like original content creation. And that's why I've had to spend the last couple of years learning what my actual range is and doing new things and trying new things. And luckily, I've been getting professional voice roles. And I landed a AAA game, which unfortunately Overwatch murdered in a dark alley. But I landed it, and I was very happy with it because it was something very different. It wasn't an impression of anything. It was all me from the ground up.
And didn't it feel more fulfilling to know that it was all you?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
No, like 100%. And that's why, like, I feel like half of this is me defending abridging, while the other half of it is like, don't do it. Or, don't.
It depends on what you want.
It depends. Yeah, it all depends on what you want to do. If you want to make this something, if you wanted this to be your side girl, go ahead. But
side chick,
bro.
Yeah,
have a choice.
Side
that
girl.
is so white. Holy cow!
Right, guys.
Speaking of white,
I would.
Let's hear Martin's input.
I was hoping you'd say that. I mean, people often ask me at like shows or like in real life when I'm just hanging out with friends. They're like, what do you get out of abridging as an actor? And I always am like, I mean, it's not acting for me at the end of the day. I don't consider a lot of what I do when I'm recording for these characters to be acting. I'm just doing a silly voice. Because back when I was in school, one of the reasons I enjoyed doing abridging, why I started doing it, is because I would do impressions of my teachers, and it would get a reaction out of people. It would make them laugh. And that's all I've really ever wanted to get out of this. I've never had a specific passion for acting, even though I like doing it, and I don't think I'm bad at it, and I don't think I can't act. I like acting, and I think I can act, but I don't think that's what I'm doing in this instance. What I'm trying to do is just make people laugh at the end of the day, and that's a really strong passion for me. And people often ask, well, how did abridging help you with your professional acting career? And it just, the only way that it did was that it helped me get time in front of a microphone that made me prepared to, have the ability to, what do you call it? I just know how to. I just know how to use a mic now. At the end of the day, like I'm confident enough to stand in a technique. That's what exactly the word I was looking for. Thank you for.
If anything, I have learned a lot of technique from this, as Martin said.
But like Scott and I don't know your name, the other fellow who was talking about the voice acting before. It definitely is. I've found a hindrance when it comes to trying to break out of that mindset. Because I'm so used to just going back to the impressions that you have in your pocket, you know, that you just can bring out whenever at the end of the day. And I've had to really focus on being confident in my own voice, you know, in my own, like what's within me, because I'm just so used to just drawing from other sources that I forget that there's a source right here, you know? So, yeah, it's been a hindrance, but like you guys are saying, it depends what you're going for. Like I feel like I have a very strong passion for making people laugh, and doing impressions makes people laugh. It just does. It's a thing. It's just a natural gut reaction from a lot of people. You know, the same with like reference jokes. Obviously, there's a downside to just doing reference jokes, but there's a large percentage of people who just laugh because they heard something they're familiar with. I wouldn't go out there and say, go do a stand-up show and just say a bunch of references, because that wouldn't be funny. But in the right context, it's good. But like you say, I do agree that abridging, it changes your mindset when it comes to acting. And I, like I said, have had to redevelop a lot of my skill for acting as a result of that, because I just have forgotten what I sound like at the end of the day. You know?
No, absolutely.
And that's the big thing. I just want
cut them off. Yes.
Yeah. I just want everyone, if you're gonna take anything out of this as voice actors, if you're listening right now, please take everything that both Martin and Kaiser have said and internalize it and understand it, because it's gonna help you more in your career as an independent voiceover guy than anything else you've ever heard anywhere else.
Also,
don't forget to trust your instincts.
Hi, welcome to VOCom. Halfway through the
show. Really quick too. Any directors in the chat? You can help out your voice actors by like trying not to give them line readings, because I know that's big in the community.
Yeah.
That depends. That depends. There's a big.
Hold on. Actually, modify. Because I'm actually the director for several of our projects.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Really good director, by the way.
Wait, is this turning into tips? This is turning into tips for voice actor. I'm gonna change the slide on the stream.
Wow!
Tips for voice actors.
You can actually take that and roll into your viewer. So it works. There you go.
As a director who's had to work with, so many different types of actors.
A lot of bad ones, probably. Because that's what I have to deal with.
You know, I'm not going to talk shit about Taka. That's mean. But,
oh, wow.
No.
Oh,
actually,
Jesus.
Here's the thing. Taka is one of the most difficult actors I have to work with, but I can mine gold out of him. That's the good thing with him. He's difficult, but I get really good shit out of him. And that's something I've had to learn, is that you're going to have difficult actors. You're going to have ones that, they've got the right voice, they've got the right sound, but sometimes they don't know where they're supposed to go. They don't know how to bring it there. And yeah, sometimes you're going to line read. And I don't like that. I actively give them the chance beforehand, before it has to happen. Because as somebody once told me, if I have to line read every line, why aren't I playing the character?
What if it's a female role, though?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, oh man, like there have been times in the past where I've had to take my actors and my actresses and be like, okay, look, you're putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. You have like the purpose of this sentence is to she's surprised at this, not that. So you need to emphasize that word, and then they still don't get it, and I'm like, okay.
Makamoko-chan. Makamoko-chan.
Makamoko-chan.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well,
that's the bigger. That can be just a huge issue. Now, there are some actors where I literally just say, okay, so this is why he's saying it. Here's a little bit of a prelude to the line. I'll read you in. And then they give me 3 fantastic takes that I'm like, I have to choose now from one of the 3. And that's great. You know, that happens a lot. And that doesn't happen all the time with those actors, but there are some actors who just click with it, and that's good. Mm-hmm. But there are also times where, you know, I have to just tell them how to fucking say it. And that happens. I don't like to do that again, but it's gonna happen.
Well, that's part of the job as a director. That's in my experience as a director, it's always been like that too. But I've dealt with people at all different skill levels. Like I've directed Rena-chan, I've directed nobodies, I've directed nobodies from a lot of different places. I've directed for Flash animations, Flash games. I've directed for Macks with his talent pool, and it's always the sensitive balance between controlling what's being said and accepting what's being said. Sometimes you have to control it, and sometimes the job is the most fulfilling and easiest job in the world, where you just sit back and let talent spew all over you, and you just rub it all over yourself. And you're like, oh,
is that not the best though?
God.
Like,
well, I mean, everywhere. Oh, look at it all.
The thing that I
best feeling in the world.
The thing that I've come to see with direct and you know, line reading versus, you know, the true essence or the true form of verbally directing one is that the issue is, oh, do I have to read this line? And the thing is, when you're working online with people, a lot of these people didn't have to go through leaps and bounds to make it online. Anybody can show up online. But the thing, like, if you're in a booth, you know, you're at Funimation, whatever, they probably don't have to do line readings because these people had to go through so many auditions, so on and so forth, because they were just the right one for the part. And so you can just say this word, you get it. And when I work with like Drew for acting, when I direct Drew, it's easy. I don't have to line read. You know, I could do so much improv, so much everything, and Drew gets it because, you know, Drew has proven himself for years and years and years. The issue is and I speak to this for the people starting out, people that don't have a huge pull, people that don't have the budget to cast. I still don't have the budget to cast. You know, you got to work with what you got. And if it's line reading, it's line reading. But one very important thing, if you're a director of anything, whether it's film, whether it's voice, know what you want or get the fuck out of the director's chair, because I am sick of that.
No, absolutely.
I'm absolutely fucking sick of that.
Yeah, I know.
Guys,
if I might.
Oh, go ahead, Kaiser.
Oh,
just after your point. No. It's probably about time we wrap this up. We've been going on for 2 hours.
Oh yeah. No, he's got a fucking point. I've had too many directors that I've sat down with, and they did not know where they wanted me to go, and I'm like, okay, look, and they'll have me do the line like 5 times, and they'll give me this wishy-washy. Oh well, maybe like that, maybe like that. I'm like, no, look, what is it that you want? And there are just so many times where I listen to myself later and I'm like, that was the context of the scene? Why was that not communicated to me? I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Oh yeah.
So I have to, I always give the context of the scene. I give the context of why the line's being said, I read them in, and I always know what I want. Like, sometimes I'll be like, you know what? That inflection sounded interesting. Give me 1 or 2 more like that. Like, they'll surprise me. There's a good actor, by the way. A good actor will surprise you. They'll go in a new direction, and then suddenly, oh shit, that might just change this whole conversation. And you love it. But you have to know at least what you're expecting from your own script when you sit down with your actors.
Yeah, that's why I'm not an actor. Fuck that.
It is a collaborative.
Fuck all that. That is the worst job. What
is the worst job?
Hearing all this is actually very helpful, especially for me, because
get out.
I've always thought no. Hear me out here. Because I've always thought the professional scene is kind of a thing where like everyone here knows what the fuck you're doing. They need to like have it on point. If I went into a professional like recording session with someone and they're like, listen, I could pretty much get someone else if you can't do it in like 2 takes. Like my mindset was it's a very harsh scene. And it kind of makes me realize it's not as bad as mind.
It's not as bad. There are some directors who can be total dickbags, but they often usually get some really good stuff. But there are also other directors who understand that you're not a machine, and that they'll have to work with you. A good director knows their actors and knows what it takes to get what they want from them.
Okay, so
like when I go into. Oh, go ahead.
I want to do a data poll resource thing. How many bad takes do you give an actor before you say, okay, this isn't working?
Oof.
Let's go around the table.
Oof.
For me, it's like
just repeat
10.
the question one more time. I was
how many when you're directing, how many bad takes do you give an actor before you're like, I mean, this is assuming that you don't have the budget to audition and cast. How many bad takes do you give an actor on that first or second line before you're like, this isn't going to work out, fuck off, go away?
And as the biggest guy here, I'll weigh in first.
The
when it comes to
baddest
get it weigh in because I'm the fattest one. Usually my cutoff is if they can't get it by 7 takes if I don't like them, 10 takes if I do like them. If they can't do it, then I stop working with them and I go to the alt. And but the only reason why I have such a tight cutoff is just through my own work. Like I've had directors that have the certain number, and I find that 7 to 10 is what they use for video games, for if you're really fucking up, and then the same thing with some animators that I've worked with. And I always communicate, but the reason why I keep it so tight is because I communicate everything that they need to know, and I know what they need to know because I've been in their shoes. And if they can't get into the scene, it's either we stop for a minute and then we do another 7 to 10 takes. If I really want to work with them, then it's like, okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to move on to the next line and we'll come back to it.
My number varies on how replaceable they are, but you know, I've gone up to 30 with someone just because I couldn't replace, you know, because it's like when you're on that week schedule, you just got to fucking grit your teeth and like go in, you know. And oh God, 2013 was such a fucking year.
Anyway,
by the way, I will say really quickly, I don't necessarily have a number. What I have is, do I think they're gonna get this by the time I'm done with it? And if not, I will be fucking like we're done. I don't have a strict number. I have okay, how is this person doing? I have to analyze how they're doing and whether or not they're doing it right. Because if I think that legitimately it is a process of, you know what, I think they can do this, I just think we're not on the same page, I'll keep going until we have to get it. However, if I'm like, no, they don't understand what they're doing, like I will be like, no, this is they're just fucking up and they have no idea what they're doing. Okay. Then I'll be like, nope, sorry, we're done.
Okay.
Martin, what's your number?
We're still
going around. I'm not a director of any kind, so I
thought you never. Okay, Mr. Crank. Crank Yankers.
Usually, I'm very picky about my voice actors, and if I usually audition them beforehand, even if it's for free. But because most of my audition process are just done online with people I have been referred to. But I would honestly give 5 to 6. To be honest, there's not a like.
Oh, look at this one! Look at this high roller! Oh,
look, like especially for stuff like I've done done a lot of work for 1 minute melee. And a lot of the times it's very, very quick turnarounds for that kind of stuff. If you can't get it, and I feel like you are not going to be able to get it, there's no point in wasting your time, you know? Because there's a point, you need to understand if you know, I mean, it comes back to, if you know what you want, then you know if that person's going to get it. There you go.
Is Quiznos for breakfast?
By the way, if we could take just our last few moments to kind of say our concrete personal opinions and viewpoints on TIBA, because this was all about TIBA and became a discussion about direction.
No, he specifically said that it was supposed to like be about voice acting, like on the second part.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay.
So Max was gonna help, but I think
hi guys,
honestly,
welcome back to AbCom. We've been upped.
Given the fact that it has been about 2 hours for this entire call, I think it's about time we wrap it up. But I think that wrapping it up with just overall opinions on TIBA would be a good idea. I mean,
are we doing the other segment, or are we going after this?
I think going out for this would probably be the best idea at this point.
Wow, dude, you gotta know how to hold those that time slot. All right, anyway. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I personally think that TIBA is a good thing that has established a lot more people into the community. It's brought a lot more people in. It certainly could have been better organized, but it was a first try for these guys. I think if anything, communication needs to be better if they're to do this in the future.
Agreed.
Yeah, go.
Am I going?
Yeah, go Pyro.
Okay. I think TIBA's given a very good starting point to get people, like people who weren't here before. There's a lot of people who are trying at it now. I think it does have potential to improve the community. It's only a start point, though. And that's where other things can come in and kind of fill in and keep that going. Because starting's one thing, but continuing's a whole different beast. You have to keep that motivation. And I think TIBA's giving us what we need to start at the very least. We just need to go from there.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess Eagle, would you like to chime in on this as well?
I guess.
The wrap-up show.
I have such a neutral opinion. I guess at the end of the day, anything this major is going to inspire people who are going to get it into it for the wrong reasons, potentially, which ultimately you can't blame on the tournament organizers. And I'm not going to deny that there's a lot of issues with it, but I feel on the overall, getting more people involved and creating more attention to something that, as much as it might not be a career path, is a way of breaking into making creative content. I think that there are a lot of positive things about the competition.
Well, there you go.
Macks, Druox, would you guys like to chime in on this as well? Just about
free OJ, that's what I'm saying. But about the comp, I don't know. You see, it's. I mean, again, I've kind of said this from the start. Like, I'm not really. I don't care if anyone starts or stops anything. I just try to be. I hope that people who are wet behind the ears, whatever you want to call it. I hope they're educated. I'm sure everyone here has, more important things to worry about. Even the creators of TIBA, I'm sure that KaiserNeko here has more important things to worry about than, talking about TIBA or TIBA itself. Like, I just spent $300 on a pair of shoes. We all got stuff that we're worrying about. And so I just want everybody to make sure that, when you're creating for TIBA or when you're creating for YouTube, make sure that if you have that goal, make sure that you're creating to be an entertainer, to be great, not to be an artist. Don't be an internet artist, be an artist. Don't be an anime artist, be an artist, be an artist. Always be an artist. Don't prefix yourself with anything. That's the main point I'm trying to drive home.
Also wholeheartedly agreed.
Yeah.
Druox, would you like to say anything?
Wait, you also bought a $300 pair of shoes?
I could have, but we're not going to weigh in on what I bought. I mean, my shoes are $300.
No, I was asking him, but no, go ahead.
He could have. I bet you he did. I bet you he wears $400 shoes and he's just too.
Fuck you.
I
$301 shoes.
I just bought $30 shoes from Payless. Okay,
Hell
Get
yeah.
out. Leave.
That's $300 in other countries. But there's.
You're getting way more out of those
$300
shoes than
pesos.
anybody else's, Scott.
Pesos.
So TIBA being a good thing or not, it once again comes from however you want to view how it impacts the community. To me, what I see it doing is it's giving people who had no incentive to create something an excuse to create something. But the limitations on where they could go might offset the type of content that could have happened. It could have inspired people that weren't thinking of abridging something, but that wasn't on that list. They were like, well, maybe I could do this, but it's not on that list, so I'm not going to do it. We're going to just keep that project on hold a little more so we can do that. And I think that if there was more freedom for what people brought in, maybe it could have had an even bigger impact on the improvement of the content within the community, the improvement of the overall attitude people feel towards other people's abridging ideas and what their projects are, to have people that are doing things that might be really outside of the box, but they're really good, but you won't see them because of this, unfortunately. But at the same time, it helps people that have an idea that falls within the parameters of the contest to be like, oh, well, I wasn't going to do it for myself, but I'll do it for the contest and see what happens. Then those kind of things have a chance to get out there. But when it comes to expanding the community, it expands it, but just not as far as as I would like to see it come. If you want to see a bigger spread of comedic writing and comedic talent, because there are just some people that their writing style isn't complemented by any of the choices, or they just don't like any of those choices and they want to do another thing. And it's that's my only real thing about it. And then when it comes to the barometer of quality, I don't think that it raises the barometer of quality that much. But other than that, I don't see it being it's not like a negative force that's going to ultimately kill Abridging. But I don't think that it's the breath of life that people are selling it as. But it's somewhere in the middle. It's not like a gift from the Abridging gods that we needed to conquer the entertainment field.
Who are the Abridging gods?
Bill Murray and
and Tech Nine,
and Alex Moss.
Bill Murray and Tech Nine, yeah.
Who
Tech
Kaiser, Kaiser and Martin, do you guys want to chime in on just what you think your opinion of TIBA is at the moment?
Martin, since you have less time, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. Also, you should probably be the one to cap it off since you are directly involved with it more than I am.
Oh, yeah, give me the last word. That's great. I like that.
Yeah.
Just really inflammatory opinion at the end.
Regarding no. You know, I felt like there were a lot of good opinions here. Ultimately, though, complete lack of talent, follow through.
Beautiful.
Well, no, there is a lack of talent in some of the.
Fine. Oh,
no, go ahead, Marty.
Anything that you think about TIBA, at the end of the day, in my opinion, a lot of people seem to be focused. Well, I mean, a lot of this discussion has been about the negative aspects of it, and a lot of it has been about the positive. But the reason for the discussion is about the negative aspects of it, and there's been a lot of talk about what does TeamFourStar get out of it compared to what do the entrants get out of it. And at the end of the day, I want to specifically say more than anything that Scott joining you in this conversation is probably more. Is probably giving you guys and the Abridged community more than TeamFourStar gets out of the TIBA contest. I don't know specifically what numbers they're getting or anything about like the monetary compensation that they're getting from hits or whatever. Yeah, right. I don't know.
Let me put it this way. The ads that we have on the site barely make any money. So while traffic has been decent, and we're getting like over 20,000 hits per page, the site ads are garbage. We don't have a deal running right now. We don't have an ad deal running. We don't have a whole lot of shit going on right now. If we had an ad deal running, might be a different scenario, might be, but by and large, the things that get people to our site are our content. Promoting the TIBA stuff has now, that being said, I just cut you off, Martin.
That's all right. Don't worry about it, man.
No, it's good. We encourage that here.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes down to it, we definitely do want people to come to these and check out these TIBA entries. Although we know that the real hits are going to start, pouring in for the final 10, because that's how people work. Yeah. But at that point, those people are also going to start getting more hits on their videos. The content creators are going to start getting more hits on their videos, because that's when and this is not to say the people in the bottom 10 were garbage, but the people in the top 10 are definitely the people who earned those top 10 spots. They definitely put in the time, the effort, and the quality is there. So those people are going to benefit the most. That's just the truth. The truth is the people who are going to benefit the most aren't going to be in the top 10. And there's not a lot that we could have done necessarily to change that with the system that we have now. In the future, we definitely will try if we do this again. We're not doing TIBA next year, 2 years from now, at the earliest, if we do it. But if we do, we're definitely going to try and put more of an emphasis on people, on that content being seen. That being said, those people have their content up on YouTube. It's you can see it, and at the very least, probably should have also tweeted the original videos on our Twitter. That is good feedback. That's why I like this conversation, because I like people who are like, oh, I think it's bad. Okay, well, do you have any ideas? Yeah, you guys had ideas. You people followed up on that, and that's why I can't be angry at any of you for coming to us and saying, well, I think they did a bad job here and there. No, that's cool. I'm glad that you said something. We need that feedback. So thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of this conversation because I love talking this shit.
Well, thank you very much for thank you very much for being here. Thank you as well, Martin. And as this is the end of
thank you for
podcast,
thanking us.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all the other guests as well. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Pyro. Thank you, Druox. And thank you, Eagle 8 Burger. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the podcast. Whether this is something that will happen again soon, we don't know, but I hope that you guys enjoyed and learned something. So thank you.
Wait, is it over?
Almost over. I mean, it's not over yet. Do you want to say something?
We got to go to the callers.
Oh, oh gosh.
We got to go to the callers.
I feel like this late in the game, I don't know if we can pull that off.
I'm to pull it off. What money does it cost to do this? It's free.
According
there's no budget. You're not this isn't terrestrial radio. Come on.
All right. Well,
let's talk to some callers.
I'm gonna need to see if I can get some people in here then.
I can get someone in here right now.
I won't lie to you. I won't lie to you. It is probably about that time that I get moving here.
No, I kind of have to get going too. I thought it was going to be an hour stream.
Yeah.
I got
game
school.
It was for an hour, and there was a freaking plan, but it kind of turned into this, which is fine. It's absolutely fine because we talked about a lot of things we had to talk about. If anything, this first episode has been very informative and enlightening, but the plan kind of fell apart, and it went an hour over time. I don't know how much further we can drag.
Fell apart. This was genius radio. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I do want to clear up a misconception.
Go ahead.
I want to clear up a misconception that all the people involved in TIBA are 100% think that everything that happened in TIBA went perfectly, or even agreed on everything. There was a lot of discussion. Yeah, there's a lot of discussion. Even the placement of the entries and certain entries that didn't get into the top 30, where it was people just straight up disagreed, and there were parts of the whole process that people were like, this isn't how we should do it. Why aren't we doing it this way? And it was too late. So at the end of the day, a lot of what people are talking about is something that TeamFourStar are definitely aware of. I want to make sure people don't think that they're just going to ignore everything that's being said.
Yeah. We're trying not to ignore anything, really.
I think there is one final thing I think that needs to be mentioned before we go. According to one of my admins, someone has reported the video. And because of this may not be saved as a broadcast. So,
wait, someone reported the video?
Someone reported the video. Someone reported.
Why would did you have Did you have one of those cute girls on the what was the deal? Why did it get reported?
Because it's not.
No, it's not. It's because it's not games. I hosted it on Twitch.
Yeah,
oh, dude, that sucks. You got to go on Hitbox. You can yell at the mods and get away with it. It's really good on Hitbox.
Well, I guess Hitbox may be the next location for this stuff. If this happens again. But
I have gotten with so many arguments with the mods on Hitbox, and they just take it because they have no power over me. Oh, that's great. No, but I'd like to thank everyone for coming out here. Thank you, Jay Leno. Thank you, Conan O'Brien. All right, end it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if anyone's in TIBA, good luck with TIBA.